The Lloydminster and District SPCA received some shocking news a few months back when the city issued them a bill for $91,000 dating back to November 2006. The city had not been billing the SPCA annually for property taxes and was lacking records showing a bill had been going out. The SPCA believed their agreement was $1 a year for the nonprofit, but such an agreement could not be found.
There was a debt, but there was no debt on the books. So really, to clear the matter and clear the air, we passed a resolution, our motion to forgive the $91,000.
A new lease agreement was created between the city and the nonprofit moving forward. The city says there was no financial impact to the city or residents as the unpaid taxes were never invoiced or accounted for.
We've now consolidated leases through the city clerk's office, through legislative services. We're going to ensure that billing is done on an appropriate basis, and that's following the agreements that should be in place.
The SPCA will now pay $7,500 a year in property tax. Well, despite only playing the saxophone for a couple of years, 16-year-old James Griffith is already making a name for himself in the music world, and I recently sat down with the teen to talk his latest accomplishment. All right, I am joined with James Griffith, 16 years old, and he's just returned from New Brunswick with some new hardware. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. So let's get right into it. You're a pretty incredible saxophone player, and you placed third in the woodwinds category at the 2018 National Music Festival, which was held in New Brunswick this year. So talk to me a little bit about that experience and what that was like, and how did you get there?
So basically, the National Festival is sort of the cumulative festival of Canada, in which basically all of the music festivals associated with the Federation of Canadian Music Festivals is sort of associated with the National Festival. And so in order to actually participate in the National Festival, you need to compete at the local level all the way up to the national level.
Okay,
and
so there was a few steps to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then so you placed first, which allowed you to go to the national level, correct?
Yes. So I placed first at the local festival, which allowed me to go to the provincial festival. And then I competed in the national class at the provincial festival, and I placed first there. Great. In order to get the recommendation to go to the national festival.
Wow. Okay, and so you've been telling me you only started taking lessons how many years ago?
Since last year.
Okay, so which is pretty incredible to have, I mean, third place and first place, all over the place. So what drew you to the saxophone 10 years ago?
Well, honestly, it's just a great instrument. I remember, this might seem cheesy, but just seeing people on TV and movies playing the saxophone. I was originally drawn into jazz rather than classical, and so I was just really interested into it. So I really just started pursuing the jazz aspects of it, and through pursuing the jazz aspects of it, I encountered the classical end of it, which is sort of how I met Kim, my saxophone teacher.
Yeah, and you do that here locally through Lakeland?
Yes, yeah, through Lakeland College.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like many people your age, especially just into last year, never mind pick up an instrument and they're good at it, but they go on to win awards, so that's pretty incredible. And you beat out, well, there were 71 people that took part, and there was different categories there. So how was the pressure? How were you feeling once you were there?
Well, at first I felt really sort of nervous, and I was feeling like it was sort of getting to me, but I don't know, just partway through the festival, before I was about to perform, I just felt my nerves sort of calm, and I just felt at ease. I didn't really try and worry about it too much, and it was just really sort of relaxing. And
awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about getting on stage and performing at these big scale competitions?
Well, I think my favorite part is just playing and just expressing myself through the saxophone and through the music. And I feel like that's just my favorite part of performing and music in general.
Yeah. And so what's next for you? Do you have any more competitions on the horizon?
Well, not at the moment currently, but I am planning to participate in what's known as the Canadian Music Competitions. So it's sort of like the national festival. It's just it's not associated with the Federation of Canadian Music Festivals.
Great.
Yeah.
And is this something you foresee yourself pursuing for many years to come?
Yes, yeah, I plan to pursue music well into university, and yeah, I'm currently deciding on whether I want to do performance or music education. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Definitely a lot of options for you. I definitely want to thank you for joining me today. It's so great, and we'll definitely keep our eye on you as you continue to pursue your amazing musical journey. Thank you.
Yes, well, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yes.
All right, well, don't be alarmed if you see men running around in stilettos or in Cold Lake this weekend. Pete Jackson has those details in tonight's What's Happening.
Hey, what's going on? It's Pete Jackson for Boom 95.3 in Cold Lake, and here's what's happening this weekend in Cold Lake. A couple of big events happening in the city. We'll start with this one. 22nd Annual Community Registration Day is happening from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. over at the Energy Center in Cold Lake. And Community Registration Day is kind of the one-stop shop for people within the city and people within the community to get signed up for various activities. That's where you get signed up. Your kids signed up for sports teams, to take swimming lessons, dance classes, things like that. It's a great opportunity if you're new to the community to find out what Cold Lake has to offer. So again, that's going to be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Energy Center in Cold Lake. There's going to be a free breakfast from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then a free barbecue from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information on this one, you can go to the city's website at coldlake.com. Another event that's happening this weekend, put on by the Dr. Margaret Savage Crisis Center, is the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event. This is going to be happening on Saturday, and basically it is to raise awareness about violence against women and how that affects not only women but families and everyone involved. So that event is going to feature members of the community, males in the community, who are going to be going for a mile walk in high heels. So it's going to start out outside of Lake St. GM in Cold Lake, and they're going to walk down about a mile to the Energy Center in Cold Lake. And afterwards, they're going to have a barbecue and things of that nature. So great event to check out. Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, and it's a unique event to the city of Cold Lake. They've done it a couple of years now, and they've had great success with it. And again, all the proceeds on this one go to help out the Dr. Margaret Savage Crisis Center here in the city of Cold Lake. If you've got an event that you want featured on What's Happening, easiest way to get a hold of me, shoot me an email, pete@boom953.ca.
Well, when you hear the name, you think of something fabulous. Joy Lampau gets to sample this year's faba beans.
Grain producers use several types of pulses and legumes to switch up their rotations from the cash crops. Faba beans have come on especially as it can be sold for both domestic as well as animal consumption.
Edamame is one Middle Eastern and North African dish, I'm told. Use kind of the green immature pods from the plant.
And that's just one salad dish high in protein, and that high protein is also the staple in making falafels. Walker seeded this field about early May.
The beans are an indeterminate plant, so they keep growing, and they take a long time, what seems like a long time, to get established. So you want to seed them as early as possible. Mind you, they don't like a frost, so once the soil's warm enough, we want to be out there as soon as possible.
Walker seeds them about 3 inches deep, and it takes a lot of moisture before germination. Chocolate spot is one of the challenges which Walker tackles with a fungicide. He's aiming for a 50 bushel per acre yield. Timely rains are still key.
I've grown them on a really, really wet year, and the beans suffered from disease and having too much moisture. And then I've grown them on a really dry year, and it had the same yield. So I felt, and the yield was still a profitable one.
Walker feels this year he's right in the middle of the moisture equation. He plans to desiccate and then combine by the end of September. The waiting game with the changing weather is always a catch. Walker's faba beans will straddle both the livestock and human consumption markets. He's hoping to get the higher yield.
And it's easier and quicker to cook, and they're edible.
You're probably familiar with these in the grocery, but it's still not ready, but it is quite tasty.
Yeah, they don't taste bad at all.
Gerard Lamphow, Newcap News.